Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is chapter 8 of Cute Little Love Letters, and this one is titled Love Letter 1. You felt kind of bad for the rest of that day. All Denki wanted to say was hi to you, but you just couldn't quite get your pluck up to say anything back to him. You couldn't even look him in the eye. The day passed on, and then home time came. You had heard whispers in the hall that day about something happening at the school, but you hadn't quite caught what was going on. That, but also aside from that, you'd been in your head all day thinking about Denki. After the final bell rang, you walked down to your locker and put your books in, intending to get your bag out and head for home, but a guy a little way down from your locker made a weird noise which made you look in his direction. "What is it?" his friend asked him, sidling up to him and looking at something in the guy's hand. They were both silent as they stared at it, and what you could see now was a piece of paper. "No way!" the friend said with astonishment and surprise after reading what was written on the paper. "You have to go. You like her too, right?" "Yeah, I just can't believe this is happening," the first guy said, looking from the piece of paper to his friend. "Go, tell her yes. She's written you a confession letter. You need to return her feelings," the guy encouraged. You watched as the first guy then grabbed his things and made a run for the door, paper still clutched in his hand. "What was that all about?" another guy asked as he walked over to the friend of the first, obviously having seen that something had happened but not knowing what. "He just got a confession letter from the girl he's been crushing on," the friend said excitedly. "Some people get all the luck, right?" "A confession letter?" you thought, silently watching the two guys walk away while still talking about it. "What's a confession letter? Did she tell him that she liked him?" "That's actually a really good idea. You don't even need to face the person, but you can tell them you like them." This was a new concept to you, but it resonated with your soul, and you determined, right there and then, to give it a try. "I can use my quirk to fly up into the vent on the front of his locker and drop the letter in and then fly out," you thought as you walked home. This was a grand idea. That night, after another delicious dinner, you sat down at the desk in your room and pulled out a blank piece of paper and got yourself a pencil. "Okay," you thought as you sat there and stared at the white parchment. "What do I say?" You got up and walked around your room in a circle, tapping your pencil to your cheek as you tried to find the right words to say. "I don't want to write anything cheesy," you thought. "It needs to be something honest." Walking back to the desk, you sat down and started to write something, but you didn't think that it fit well, so then you put a line through it and tried again. But again, the next one sounded too cheap, so you crossed that one off too. "I just find myself thinking about him all the time," you thought, then put the pencil to paper. "You're my favourite daydream," you wrote. You read it over a few times. It wasn't the best, but it was a far cry better than the other lines that you'd written, so you decided to stick with that. Nodding, you ripped that line from the paper and rolled it up and then slipped it into your school skirt pocket, ready for the next day. "Done," you thought, satisfied that you'd taken the first steps. "I think I might need to change the gemstones for tomorrow. Maybe something like luck and bravery?" Deciding to ask your mum about it, you left to go and speak with her. After searching in the kitchen and the apothecary, you finally found her on the big, flat, outstretched tree limb, sitting in a relaxed yoga pose with her eyes closed. You waited for a second before clearing your throat. "Mum?" you asked gently. She popped an eye open. "Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Would I be able to talk to you when you're free?" you asked politely. "I'm always free for you, my love," she replied with a warm smile. "What troubles you? Your aura has shifted." "Oh, no, I'm not really worried," you said. Then you thought about it. "Okay, maybe I'm a little worried. I'm going to be really brave and do something that's a lot more daring than I usually am, and I'd like some bravery or luck gems for tomorrow, if that's okay?" you asked her. She nodded. "I will also give you protection, because something on the winter day has told me that you barely missed being involved in something frightening," she said, getting up from her crossed-leg position. "Oh?" you asked with surprise. "What was it?" "You brought some bad energy home with you today, but it wasn't from you, it was from close to you, but there will be repercussions. It's not over yet," she said as she left the tree limb, with you following, and walked down to the apothecary. "Take your slippers off, sweetness," she said gently to you. "You need to ground yourself back to Mother Nature. Your soul needs nurturing." You slipped them off and walked barefoot on the oak flooring, feeling a cleansing energy swelling through you. "Oh, that feels so much better," you said with a relieved smile. Your mother smiled back at you and then got to digging through her drawers, pulling out gems and twine and all kinds of other things. "Here," your mum said as she started to weave and braid some twine together. A bracelet with green adventurine and amethyst, she said, slowly feeding the stones onto the bracelet, alternating them to create a ring that would encase your wrist. You took your other necklace off with the lapis lazuli and aquamarine on it and lay it gently on the bench beside her, ready to don the new bracelet once it had been made. Your mum worked quickly, making you the bracelet and then reaching into her drawer and pulling out some of her black obsidian stone and reaching for your necklace. The amethyst will protect you, but I also want to combine it with obsidian to send the negative energy back to where it came from, she said firmly. You nodded and watched as she quickly switched the stones over on the twine necklace and then handed you the new one with obsidian on it. You put the bracelet and necklace on and felt a calm wash over you immediately, the energy from these stones calming your mind and soul and filling you with positivity for the following day. You gave your mum a relieved smile and thanked her once more before leaving to get ready for bed. As you left, your dad walked in. "Did I miss something?" he asked with a chuckle when he saw the look on your mum's face. "There's a lot going on in our baby's life," she said with a smile that was filled with a little concern, and your dad walked over and wrapped your mum in a warm hug. They stayed hugging for a while before your mum pulled back and stared deeply into his eyes. "When are you going to tell her, my love?" Your dad sighed and hung his head. "I don't know. How do I even bring up such a topic?" he asked. "Either you tell her the truth about her heritage, or she will find out from someone else," your mum warned. "You may be from a smaller, lesser-known race of fae folk, but you would be surprised at how much people know," she cautioned. "You need to tell her soon." Your dad sighed again and hung his head, to which your mum cupped his cheek in her hand. "Courage," she whispered. "Yeah, that's what got me into this mess in the first place," he replied in the same level of whisper as her. "If only I had more of it, or even just it, I wouldn't have to be admitting to such a failure." Your mum nodded knowingly and reached out to hug him again. "It doesn't change how I feel about you or your place in this family. You are loved, cherished, and held with esteem. Nothing will change that." Your dad smiled and embraced your mum lovingly. "Thank you," he whispered. The next morning you were up early and dressed and down at the breakfast table before your mum had even started placing food out for you yet. "My," she said with surprise when she saw you coming bouncing down the spiral staircase. "A fairy has come from above to bless me with her presence," she said with a smile to you. "Hi, Mum," you greeted her with a grin. "Oh, sounds like there's a little bit of secrets happening. Stay tuned for chapter 9 coming tomorrow. I'll see you then."